How's it going, Ram fans? Welcome back to another edition of CTV Sports. I'm Walsh.
And as always, I'm Leah Cackowski. Here's what we got on tap for you tonight.
4 air raids showed up in Canvas this weekend, surprising an excited crowd with the final score.
Women's volleyball and soccer continue to play quality matches within the conference.
And of course, Neliah Rodriguez joins us for some CSU basketball previews.
All of that and more right here on CTV Sports, which starts right now.
A game filled with adversity and momentum. At least that is what Coach Jay Norvell thought about football's win this past Saturday. Norvell spoke about his team's approach to the week and how they just had to get back up after being knocked down, and the Rams did just that, avenging their loss to Oregon State just a week later. This one was in the Rams' favor for most of the game. Although the Spartans seemed to answer every score, the Rams just created more opportunities. In the first 3 quarters, it was all about the run, with Avery Morrow rushing in for 2 while BFN showed off his speed and ran for a 23-yard touchdown. But the hero of the night for the green and gold had to be Armani Winfield with this awesome 62-yard catch and run that ended up being the game-clinching score. And while this one looked attractive on the final scoreboard, it was a pretty evenly matched fight in the box score. Seeing the Spartans and Rams beat each other on the passing and rushing sides respectively, the two teams kept up well with each other. Where the Spartans failed, however, was their 12 total penalties that resulted in 112 yards gained for the Rams. So a stat that is usually against the Rams finally goes in their favor. And this was something the players said they knew had to improve.
The communication was very effective today. We significantly limited the penalties involving the play clock and stuff like that, which was huge. It was a big deal last week, definitely contributed to what happened. And then this week, the efficiency aspect of it was clear. I mean, like you said, the 16 in a row, that all goes out to them. They were the ones getting open. I'm just doing my job. I'm just throwing the ball. And so when they're able to get open that many times in a row and we can be efficient like that and then run the ball like we did.
I couldn't agree more, Braden. Pretty much every facet of the game was going well for the Rams. And that, of course, creates some eye-popping individual stat lines. Starting with the man under center, the Rams saw BFN throw for 269 yards and grab 2 total touchdowns, 1 in the air and 1 on the ground. And speaking of the ground game, Avery Morrow grabbed his 3rd straight 100-yard game with exactly 100 on Saturday. And finally, the savior of the night, Armani Winfield, with his 6 catches for 108 yards, and one of those obviously being the 62-yard game winner. But that game winner is a little bittersweet, as it shows that the Rams have other receivers besides Tory Horton, but as of yesterday, it will have to be those guys stepping up, because it was announced that Tory Horton is going to be out for the season due to surgery. This just hurts. This just hurts everyone.
I'm so heartbroken for Tory Horton. I mean, CSU staple as a whole. He was like, 35 yards away?
34 yards away from the all-time Mountain West record in receiving yards, and he was 2nd all-time in receptions, just so close on those records.
And again, just a great leader. He's been kind of struggling with injuries ever since, you know, the 2nd, 3rd game of the year, especially Boulder. He wasn't able to play the majority.
No one thought this was coming, where he's out for this season. We always thought he has his games where he goes out a little bit, but he always comes back.
Exactly.
Now we know he's not coming back.
You know, and he took it pretty well on social media. He made a statement out going there, and I think all you can do is keep your head held high.
He's focused on the NFL.
Yep.
We think we'll see him there. Hopefully we'll see him
I think
there.
so too. Speedy recovery. All the best wishes to him. You know, we do have people that are coming up, like you said, like Armani Winfield.
Goody. We got some good receivers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It definitely hurts, though.
It does hurt. Yeah, you know, and Mike, this one does hurt.
It does.
But of course, we have to show his final career stats, which includes receiving yardage. That was just 34 yards short, like we mentioned, an all-time conference record. And I just think Tory Horton is going to go down as one of the best CSU football players.
He's one of the best Mountain West players ever. As the Mountain West is kind of, dying, being rebrought, you know, he'll be one of the best players ever in the Mountain West.
Yep,
so.
I can't agree with you more.
But while we could talk about one of the best CSU receivers for a lot longer, we do have a full show.
Yes.
So, Leah, I'll throw it over to you for some volleyball.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my Colorado State volleyball snapped their winning streak with their first conference loss against Boise State on Thursday. But the green and gold didn't go down without a fight. The annual Pink Out match is a special event every season, but the Rams had a slow first 2 sets. They finally showed their regular green and gold dominance in the 3rd and 4th set, as Boise was unable to reach 15 points, going down 25-14 and then 25-12. Many Rams had themselves a night, with freshman Maria Brune tallying up a season-best 10 kills. Veteran Malia Jones put up a double-double with 14 digs and 28 kills. But when they got to the finish line, they were unable to knock it down, and it came down to the little things. Head coach Emily Cohan told CSU Athletics that after that halftime, I was really proud that we came back and we kind of found our groove again. I'm proud of the way our team fought and came out of that tight round. In the 5th set, it's just a few tiny little errors when it really mattered. You look at the stats and we played pretty well, but those errors when it really matters are what hurts. Taking a look at the standings, it's a tight race to the top with Fresno State, San Jose State, and Utah State just barely behind the Rams. Other schools down the line, such as San Diego State and Boise State, have some of the best overall records, but keep trading off wins in conference. The Rams head down to San Diego to face the Aztecs this Thursday, so make sure to tune into the Thursday Night News Show to hear a live update on that one. But now, Mike, how was soccer Senior Sunday?
Well, Leah, the senior celebration on Sunday was interrupted by one of the Mountain West's best in Utah State, and they proved it, keeping the Rams in check and leaving the CSU soccer field with a 1-1 score. But that score was also the theme of the week for the Rams, as they had the exact same result on Thursday against Boise State. Both matches kept the Rams' unbeaten streak alive, but unfortunately it didn't add any wins to the win column. But as always, the Rams had some stellar play and essentially an unbreakable back line, except for those obvious 2 goals scored by both teams. But looking into the stats, we see a game on Thursday that should have been winnable, with the Broncos totaling 19 fouls, so the Rams definitely had their chances to get the ball on the offensive side of the field. But in the end, it was the same story both days. The Rams just have 1 slip-up and then it's tied. Luckily for the Aggies, the team turned the energy on in the second half after USU had already scored in the first. But as we mentioned earlier, this game on Sunday meant a little more. Celebrating the amazing seniors on the CSU soccer team was the highlight of the day. With over half the roster being seniors, this one just meant more. Players like Liv Stutzman and Kennedy Layton started all their games here at CSU, and their impact can never be understated or undervalued, and that goes for all the seniors. But with so many names, this could be the Rams' year to use that mix of veteran and fresh talent to make another Mountain West championship run. So while this was senior night, these players will be celebrated every game this season. And just like those seniors know, all good things must come to an end. So let's now switch to another sport that appreciates a good lawn job. Leah, what's up with golf?
Well, Mike, the CSU men's golf team headed south to compete in the Kubian Cup down in Greensboro, North Carolina. Yesterday wasn't the greatest, as CSU finished 11th out of 13 programs at over 58, compared to first place Chattanooga, who was plus 17. Day 2 should have just finished up, so let's see if there is any improvement. And well, honestly, not much. They finished 10th overall, so this was not the best outing for CSU, but don't worry, they have some time to rest up, because up next for the Green and Gold is the Cal Poly Invitational starting next Monday. Now, Mike, tell us about some of the best distance team in the country.
Thanks, Leah. Both of the CSU cross-country teams took the trip down to the Springs this past weekend, and it was a very positive ride back to FOCO as the women took first and the men took second. Looking first at the big winners of the meet, the women saw 3 runners place in the top 10. Most notably was Jaden Theis, who beat pretty much everyone in this one, grabbing second place overall. And after quite a gap, it was Legacy Ram Abigail Peter and 8th, and Trinity Wells in that 22-minute area, finishing in 10th. And what's more for the women, they also saw 3 other Rams place in the top 16, so an overall dominant win for the Rams. But moving on to the men, who didn't have quite the same success. Taking second place in this one, the men were certainly not disappointed after the placings were announced, and some Rams also stood out for the men, with Mateo Delgadillo being the first Ram to finish placing in 8th, while Calvin Banta and Jake Wattas were not far behind, taking the 12 and 17 spots respectively. Both teams will now look to the Princeton Fall Classic in Princeton, New Jersey on October 18th, a match that both teams will want to do well in to create some solid momentum for the Mountain West Championships on November 1st. And speaking of some future Ram athletics, I think me and Leah have some CSU events to discuss. Let's get right into it,
Yeah,
Leah.
spot on, Mike. As if there weren't enough sports news for the week, there is still so much more coming up in Ram country.
Yeah, Leah, Thursday is all travels as CSU soccer, volleyball, and tennis are all on the road.
And then on Friday, women's swim hosts Washington State here at Moby Pool for their first home meet of the season.
And women's tennis continues to compete at the ITA Regionals through Sunday as cross country heads to Jersey for the Princeton Fall Classic.
Then we see if 4 Air Raid is able to continue their momentum down at Air Force this Saturday, while fall ball is still in full swing as CSU softball hosts Regis Saturday and then UNC on Sunday.
And how could we forget about the start of basketball? Coming up, it's just around the corner. We'll look first at the men's out-of-conference schedule. This is a pretty solid one.
Yeah,
the Rams
honestly,
have some pretty good matchups here.
I mean, the one that obviously stands out to me the most is just the showdown.
Right,
Boulder
right.
coming up right kind of before finals week in December. That's still
sure.
a little bit away, but I mean, we got other one. Ole Miss is a huge one.
Ole Miss is a huge one. Washington, that was a big win for the Rams last year. Once they beat Washington, that's when they got ranked. So again, if they can win some of these big games against these power schools,
Definitely.
you can see the Rams ranked again.
That's a great point, and especially, I mean, having kind of a, in-state rival, DU, coming up
Right.
a little bit beforehand, that's a really good point.
There's some
you
good
make.
rivalry games. There's some good fan games, but there's also some really good teams.
Yes.
Washington, Boulder, VCU even in Vegas. These are really good teams the Rams have to play.
I agree with you, and we got to look at the women's schedule as
Looking
well.
forward.
So let's look at theirs before conference play going into it. And yeah, the women's team has some pretty tough
They have
ones
some
coming up
solid-
too.
They got the new Pac-12 transfer Gonzaga,
Yes.
who always is a solid team.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And you're looking at teams like BYU, Georgia. They have some pretty solid matches as well.
I mean, UTEP kind of could be in the mix a little bit
Yeah.
there. We'll see that a little
And
bit
there's
down
a few
the road.
teams there I had to look up what the logo
Yes.
actually was. So I think those might be some wins, but those power schools could be some decent games.
Yeah, I agree.
But of course, that women's team has transfer Emma Ronziek. That was named to the Becky Hammond Mid-Major Player of the Year watch list. But there's still a few weeks before the start of the season, so stay tuned to CTV for all basketball season updates.
That's right, Mike. But now let's take a quick break. But don't go anywhere yet, Ram fans, as Neliah Rodriguez is back for yet another segment.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
I'll be right back.
Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Welcome back from the break, Ram fans. I'm Neliah Rodriguez, and while the tip-off for the 2024-2025 basketball season is still 2 weeks away, it's the perfect time to spotlight some standout players who will make this season a must-watch for both our men's and women's basketball teams. Let's dive into the players to watch and discuss who's leading the team on their journey to success. First up is a man who can do it all, Neat Clifford. Since transferring from CU, Clifford has brought an incredible energy and talent to the CSU roster. His stats speak for themselves, averaging 12.2 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. Notably, he is one of the strongest shooters, boasting a field goal percentage of 52.2. Last season, Clifford led the team in rebounds, steals, and blocks. Ram fans, Neat Clifford is definitely a player to keep on your radar. Another strong player is senior guard Jalen Lake. Lake has been with the Rams since his freshman year, playing in 88 games and starting in 25. He averages 6.1 points a game and has recorded 119 assists and 151 rebounds. Throughout his career, while Lake may not have the highest defensive stats, he has plenty of room to improve and expected to step up as a team leader on the court this season. While CSU saw a handful of talented players depart from the men's roster last season, we're fortunate that Clifford and Lake decided to stick around. A significant part of the team's success can be attributed to head coach Niko Medved. He has been with the Rams since 2007, first as an assistant coach until 2013, before returning as head coach in 2018. Niko, in his 6 years of leadership, has achieved an impressive record of 117 victories to just 75 losses, including 2 trips to the NCAA tournament in 2022 and 2024. Coach Medved is renowned for his ability to develop talent, having coached 18 all-conference selections and 3 Conference Players of the Year. As we look forward for what promises to be an exciting season, it's clear that standout players like Niko, Clifford, and Jalen Lake, under the guidance of Coach Medved, have the CSU Rams destined for success. CTV can't wait to see how this team will dominate. Now, as we roll into women's basketball, our roster features a solid mix of strong returners and promising new talent. One standout player who made a significant impact last season is junior guard Hannah Ronsick. Ronsick was the team leader in rebounds, averaging 6 per game, showcasing her ability to control the boards. In addition to her rebounding skills, she's a consistent scorer, averaging the second highest points per game at 8.5 with a field goal percentage of 43.5 and a three-point shooting average of 39.6. Ronsick is a valuable asset to the team and a key player to keep an eye on this season. Another player to highlight is senior guard Sana Strum. Since transferring from Kansas University, Strum has quickly become a team leader, demonstrating not only consistency but also passion and power. She appeared in all 31 games last season, starting in 26 of them, and averaged 6.3 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 1.7 assists per game, with a field goal percentage of 40.2. We can look forward to seeing Strum as a strong and reliable player this season. Under the guidance of Ryan Williams, who is entering his 13th season as the Rams head coach, we have seen great success with a record of 212 wins and 128 losses, including 5 conference championships. Coach Williams brings 29 seasons of collegiate basketball coaching experience along with numerous notable milestones, fostering hope for even more achievements this season. This season is set to be thrilling for our women's basketball team. And that is all I have for you regarding our men's and women's basketball team. Ram fans, back to you, Leah.
Thanks, Neliah. I know Mike and I literally cannot wait for the start of basketball season this year, but for now, we're going to stick to football. So here is the top games from the weekend, starting off with, of course, Oregon versus Ohio State. Mike, take it away.
I think this is pretty easily the game of the week. I mean, 32-31. Literally losing a game because you didn't know when to slide.
Yes.
Is the closest it can possibly get.
At the last second, too. I mean, this was the number 2 and number 3 team going into this. A must-watch for so many fans. It being in Oregon, too, like...
It's their first year in the Big Ten. So much hype around it. I just cannot believe it ends on just a mental mistake.
I don't know, at this level, you don't see that very quickly
No.
of not knowing the situation. I mean, we're going to see it right here, and the clock is running out, and it's done.
You know
and he sees it. He knows it.
You know it's 6 seconds. You put 6 seconds in your head, you snap that ball, you start counting down. At 4, you should be sliding.
Yeah.
There's no reason you should be running for. He ran for 7 seconds.
Yep.
There's no reason when you know you have 6 seconds that you should be trying to get those extra yards. Let your field goal kicker try that.
Or even, if anything, make a play and throw the ball. If that, that would have been at least been better than the mistake.
But huge for Oregon, honestly. Dylan Gabriel played out of his mind, probably one of his best college games ever against the number 1 defense in the country.
Right.
Just shredded that defense, made him look like nothing, pretty much. So, I mean, this is huge for Oregon.
And I know you're an Ohio State guy most of the time, so it's like...
But it was a great game. I really can't be mad at it. And just the way it ended, it's just frustrating, but it's just...
It's just like deflating.
Yeah, it's an overtime 32-31 game, but we'll move on. I know how much you refuse to pick Boulder in pretty much anything, but the Buffs, they kind of went down to K-State, and they had a really good game.
They
did lose.
They did lose, but it was a better game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in Boulder, and now that is one of the top, like one of the hardest places to play right now.
They sell it out every time.
And again, Travis Hunter coming out on top. He was like, at one point they had a graphic, and he was the best on offense and defense.
So he did get taken out of this game with injury. He did. So I think that might have been a big part of this, is that Shadur just didn't have that target at the end of the game. And it was still a crazy end of game.
Again, because they were down by a bit, and then they came back, but it just, again, they weren't able to knock it down, and they've been playing well on the road too, but they haven't been, playing well at home as well.
If anything, this just shows this is a good Kansas State team.
Yes.
This is a good Kansas State team that can compete with a lot of teams.
They've been pretty much consistently ranked all season long. Yep. And
so the fact that Boulder took them this far is pretty good for
Yeah.
Boulder. And that was just a crazy late night game. A lot of people were watching it, so
absolutely.
pretty good game.
I agree with you. And, you know, we got to talk about a
yes.
Southern thriller.
This was a
I'm, of
thriller.
course, meaning Ole Miss versus LSU. We had some good debates last week in pick'ems. And
I'm feeling great about my
Mike
pick.
is,
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, Ole Miss was pretty much ahead for the majority of the game. They took the lead pretty
Yep.
early on. And, yeah.
This was all about the fourth quarter. This
entire-
LSU team did not look like the same LSU team we'd seen until
No.
that fourth quarter. Grant Nussmeier just started slinging
Yeah.
the ball everywhere he wanted, anywhere he wanted. This last throw was just perfect.
I mean, it was a dagger right to the
can't-
chest.
yeah.
And for the fact, right here is pretty much where
Yep.
it ended. I mean, again, it was an overtime, and
Yep.
everyone went crazy, stormed the court, or the field, I should
yeah.
say.
Yep.
We were talking basketball just now. I'm like, I don't remember what sport we're talking about. But no, it's
just
like,
a crazy game. I thought Ole Miss thought they had
know.
this, and LSU just said no.
and because LSU was favored.
Yep.
And so that's kind of, I was like, maybe.
I'm sure that home crowd played into it. That home crowd had to play into it.
I mean,
a lot.
any of those SEC schools, I feel
Yeah.
like you have an advantage.
Yep.
That's why it's exciting to see road wins. And yeah, Ole Miss just let that one get away.
Yep, but the feeling of the weekend should be nailed by
Yeah,
now,
I
right?
agree.
But as now number 3, Penn State just barely beat the USC Trojans in overtime. Another crazy game,
Yeah.
one off of a field goal.
I mean, USC coming in like, oh my gosh! Like I remember checking the score
Yep.
during the CSU game, and I was like, oh my gosh,
It
USC!
looked like
look at this.
USC was going to win.
Yeah, it looked like they had
Yeah.
it. Like they came out on top. They played quick. They played fast from the beginning, especially being at home. Like we're
Yep.
talking home crowds right here, and yeah, kind of same thing. I mean,
Which is weird because I feel like Penn State doesn't win these type of games.
No.
They usually win they're at home because they have a great home crowd. But on the road, this was a huge win. They deserve that 3 spot.
No, they do.
Penn State's not a team that I would usually say is a top 3 college football team.
after that win though.
But after that win, after the wins they've been having, I think they deserve that number 3 spot for now. at
For
least.
now,
Yeah.
and yeah, just the Trojans. You got to knock that one down, especially at
Yeah.
home.
It's hard.
It is.
It's hard to be a USC Trojan. A lot of pressure. on you.
there is, yeah, lots of pressure in so many ways. But finally, we have
Oh,
Purdue against Illinois.
2 teams I don't think we thought we'd be talking
No,
about.
I didn't. I had no idea we'd be talking about this
Just
game this week.
An insane scoring game.
It was so high scoring.
a
the
final
entire-
score of 50-49.
And
It doesn't get closer than
Especially when like Illinois was on top for
Oh, yeah.
like basically the entire game
that.
too.
And this is a 1-4 Purdue team. that
Yes.
Illinois, I think, just like they took their foot off the gas,
Yep.
and Purdue's like, okay.
And they're at home. They're ranked.
Yep.
And then for them to come back at the end like that and just
If they would have lost this,
I
that would have been
know,
awful
like-
for Illinois.
that would have been kind of like a reflection
Yeah, right.
sort of thing, kind of like what we saw the other day
Yeah.
with Vanderbilt. It was
Yep.
like, what is going
Just-
on?
You cannot lose to a 1-4 team.
No.
Illinois could not lose this game.
Especially at home and being
They
ranked.
squeaked it out. Altmaier looked really good. Their defense looked terrible.
So bad.
But-
We haven't seen anything like that in a while.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
You know, Mike, it feels like we just started this segment,
There's so many games.
but in
There's so many
reality,
good
we
games.
are in fact 8 weeks deep into the season. But do not worry, though. There's still so much more football to come, so stick around after the break for another round of pick'ems.
After 2 years?
You gotta be kidding me! Okay, no.
Robbie.
Seriously, do you have anything you can use against the dragon?
I can do fireball. That'll do a lot of damage.
Yeah, to all of us.
Well, I
We're in a 4-foot group.
I'm sorry. What else do you want me to do? I can
Okay.
Hold on. All right. Wizard, what do you do?
Welcome back from the break, Ram fans. And you know it wouldn't be Tuesday Night Sports without pick'ems. We've got quite the slate for you tonight. Starting it off, Broncos country, Thursday night against the Saints. What do you guys think?
Let's ride. Let's go
Oh,
Broncos.
Man. Oh, man.
They did not have a great game against
They
the
did not,
Chargers the
no.
other day.
They had a great fourth quarter.
They did have a great fourth quarter, but I don't know. I usually don't believe in the Broncos, and I'm
Right.
going to keep believing. I'm
Okay.
saying Broncos this one. Leah, what are we thinking?
I'm agreeing with you.
All right.
I just
Okay.
don't see the Saints. They don't have that great of offense.
I know the Saints are struggling. They lost Derek Carr. They're
still out.
starting a rookie, Spencer Rattler. This game with the Broncos just did not make me excited. I was really excited after the last few
Yeah.
games, 3 in a row.
Especially after the Raiders, too. That
but
was
then,
awesome.
nothing happens in the week. We come in this week against the Chargers, and they just look like crap for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
I just don't want to trust them right now in prime time. I think the Saints take this one in it's a revenge game for Sean Payton.
It is.
I think the Saints kind of just take this one.
I think the
a
quick
little
turnaround
personal.
might help, though.
Yeah.
I mean, from Sunday to Thursday, that can make or break teams, and I know
sure.
they're on the road, so I'm hoping it'll just kind of get them all right, rinse and repeat. Let's kind of get this out of the way. And I know they're at the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of their field right now at the top of my head.
Mercedes-Benz, the Dome.
Thank you.
Course,
I'm
yes,
thinking,
sorry.
but yeah, no, I'm gonna go with the Broncos on this one.
That's fine. I think the Saints is a revenge game. They're like, what? Sean Payton left us. He made us trade for him. They're taking this game.
Whole thing. All right. But game number 2, one of the best of the week. It is the returning Super Bowl champs and their 2024 competitors, guys. Chiefs 49ers. Neliah, what are we going to go with on this one?
I think there's only one right answer. I think it's the Chiefs. I mean, they're 5-0.
Yep.
And their 49ers star, Christian McCaffrey, he's out.
He's been out, though.
I don't know.
I don't know if that affects them that much.
I don't see the 49ers coming and ruining this winning streak that the Chiefs have going.
Okay.
I think Jordan Mason, who is McCaffrey's replacement, has been doing pretty well for the season. And I just think I'm going to go with the Chiefs on this one, though.
And that's fine. They're an undefeated team. It makes sense. I think they're going to San Francisco. I think this is the same thing with San Francisco last year. They had these random wins against really good teams at home. I think that at home is going to do a lot, so I think 49ers take this one.
It'd be cool to see the 49ers to take one kind of as, like a revenge match.
Someone's got to humble the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Someone's got to humble the Chiefs.
It might be the 49ers.
I think it's going to be 49ers. I think it's them.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right.
Next one?
Yeah. All right, let's talk the college ball. CSU is coming off a huge win. Taking on the Falcons next. What do you think, Mike?
I mean,
there's not much to say.
This isn't much of a discussion for me. The Falcons have looked just awful this year. There's really not been an aspect of their football that's been really good. They had the one win over Wyoming, right?
They lost to Wyoming.
They lost to Wyoming.
Yes.
Who's also only one win. So there's nothing good about Air Force, so I have to go.
It was Wyoming's only win
against
Air Force. Right. And they lost to New Mexico, who we've talked about for years at CTV.
You know what? I think Air Force beat Merrimack. That was
the team.
That
was the team.
So really, we're not dealing with much here.
There's not much to even talk about. And I mean, but it is interesting though about this rivalry, right?
Yep.
Colorado State has 8 rivalry losses. 9 in a row they have lost at Air Force.
Okay.
They have not won there since 2002. Were any of us even born?
It's a different team. This is a different Air Force team than those past teams.
But we got to talk about it though. This is the one time where Jay Norvell has historically his time here. Yep. He is yet to get a rivalry win. And I think this is going to be the one of all of the games.
And against Wyoming. I think he's getting bold.
Air Force struggles on the road. CSU is easy pick.
Yep, I agree. So we're have to see.
And we already talked about Boulder, but I guess we'll go back to them for another matchup with them this week. They're up against Arizona, who's won some kind of random games against good teams, but also lost big games. What do you guys think?
You already know my answer, Neliah. What do you think?
I'm going to CU. As much as I hate to say it, CU.
Yeah.
And I understand Travis Hunter's out, but Arizona has weak ball security.
Yeah.
So I just don't see them doing well against CU Boulder.
I was high on Arizona at the beginning of the year, but since I've watched them, it feels like it's just their quarterback and their receiver, and there's not much else going on with the team. I think the Buffs take this one. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I hate doing these picks where I pick the Buffs, but I just think they're the better team here. So
they had a kind of a rough start. They did lose to K-State pretty early on into the year, but then they beat number 10 Utah.
Right, but now Utah's out of the rankings.
I know.
So are they good? It's so hard, right? I know.
I have to go to Arizona. You guys know me.
It's all right.
That's it. But arguably the NCAA game of the week.
Easily, I think.
Yeah.
Dogs versus the Longhorns. We kind of had some discussion prior to this.
Yeah.
Mike, I'll let you start this off.
I just think Texas is the best team in the country. Every game they play just encourages me more that they're going to make a national championship run, possibly win it. I don't want to say yet, but they look really good. And this Georgia team has struggled with teams like Kentucky.
Yeah.
Obviously, the loss to Alabama. I just think Texas takes this one.
I'm agreeing with Mike. I am going to say I think they're going to win it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Quinn Ewers is back, so I'm excited about that.
I think Texas has too much talent. They have so much talent they don't know what to do with it.
Too many NFL players.
And Georgia is, exactly. And Georgia is just inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. As much as I want to root for Texas, especially with how we played against them at the beginning of the year, I'm going to go Georgia.
Okay.
And I know
it's not a bad pick.
It's at Texas. Hear me out. If they start quick if they can get
For sure.
score first, kind
sure.
of like how the Yankees have been jumping on Cleveland in these first couple games of the ALCS.
Reference no one gets.
I think Georgia can take it. If they start early, I think Georgia's going to win it. I'm
Yep.
still going to pick Georgia, but I will be even more confident in my pick if they start out early and get on this Texas team.
Yeah.
And then
I just want
go
a good
from there.
game. It feels like Texas has been
Yep.
blowing everyone out. I want them to have at least a
Yep.
decent, competitive game.
yeah.
Yep.
Because if they just blow out this team, it's like,
Well,
who else is left?
It's kind of a test, too, of, like, the legacy they've been kind of
Yeah,
bringing under
yep.
their coach. Like, this is a really big test if they're still going to be a powerhouse program after this year. So that's my opinion.
All right, let's go to another power.
All right, let's finish it
Yeah.
out with Alabama.
Yeah.
Revenge week.
Alabama, Tennessee.
Alabama, yep. What do you think,
This
Mike?
A huge game. Alabama's really not been looking good.
No.
But I think this is their revenge game because Tennessee
Agreed.
also didn't look good last
Yep.
week. Playing against a banged-up Florida team, they squeaked away with a win. I just don't think this Tennessee team can compete with a Bama team that should be pissed off. They've had some bad games these last two games. They need a big win. I think this is where they get it.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm agreeing. I think Bama's going to win.
Okay.
Their QB1 is well-rounded.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Milrow is really good.
In the air, on the ground, you can do it all.
I mean,
Yeah,
Williams
exactly.
is.
Yeah, Williams.
You
is
can't.
insane. 17 years old. I mean, we
We
already talked
can't even
about
talk
him,
about
right,
Williams enough. But I'm going to go Tennessee
I don't
here.
hate it.
They're at Tennessee.
Yeah.
That is one of the best. They're
It
both
is,
one of
it
the best
is.
college football environments, but them specifically with
Neyland
that
Stadium
intro.
is, yeah. for
I
sure.
mean, they just had a 23-17 overtime win against Florida, which is another big rivalry. So,
yeah.
I mean,
don't
they're
know.
5-1. I'm going to go Vols on this one just for home court, or I keep saying court,
No,
home
yeah,
field
I
advantage.
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. And Neyland Stadium is one of the craziest.
Yeah.
spots, So you're absolutely right there.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great game.
I just have that kind of energy.
Yep.
We've been building off
I
that.
get it.
That's
Yeah.
right. But, Rams, that is all we have for you tonight. And as always, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your night and be safe as always.